So chew quietly.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Torah with your host, Rabbi Aníbal Mas. Here I am, Asper Jewish Community Campus, with a wonderful company. This time, welcome everyone. Welcome, Hanan.
Welcome.
Welcome, Shelly.
Hi, Rabbi.
Welcome, Mark. Welcome, everyone. We have an open gym here, and the sound from the music comes to the streaming. So maybe I should speak super loud so the music of Torah Chaim goes to them. Maybe they can learn a little Torah while they run.
Don't do that. Maybe a hard Torah.
It was funny because I heard one congregant that he comes to the campus, and he was on a treadmill just walking. I said, Rabbi, when I was walking, I was listening to, I was watching a show of one of these preachers on TV. I said, he sounded just like you. Anyway.
Zealot.
And then I was shocked that it was just watching a preacher, whatever. Hello, Jerome.
Hello.
I know it's Jerome, but for me, when they have an E at the end, it's Jerome.
That's right.
And Glenn is here watching. Welcome, Glenn. Hopefully more people will show up. It's interesting.
This is a crowd almost.
So we are going to start the
You just like snuggling up to your phone all the time.
we are going to start the process studying for Pesach. There's never enough time, but the rabbis say that you should start preparing for Pesach right after Purim. That's it's not really a law,
But it's a good idea.
but it's a good recommendation, right? It was like the masks right after the pandemic. They were recommended, but not enforced. So,
And I'm being brave and not wearing a mask
Oh.
today.
or maybe we are brave that we are around you
I'm
without a
being
mask.
really brave not wearing a mask today.
So yeah, the recommendation is to start preparing ourselves for Pesach. So what is the first thing, Shelly? I will ask this to you too. Hi, oh good. So I'm in an online class here.
Okay.
But,
I'll see you in Mexico.
okay, do you have a ticket?
No, I haven't.
Me neither. Okay. Okay. So what is the first thing you have to do to prepare for Pesach right after Purim?
Clean your.
No.
house. No. That's not it.
Well, that's the thing. The last minute before. The first thing to do.
What is the first thing? Anyone online? Want to try?
I can't think.
Start growing your wheat.
Figuring out where you're going to have your Seder.
Where are you going to have it sit? How much room you're going to
So basically you start right away deciding, am I hosting
Or
or am I going somewhere else?
How long do I have to wait to invite people before I
Oh,
find
no, but
out? Yeah.
the rabbi said that decision has to be made right after Purim, okay? Number two, you stop buying chametz and you start eating everything you have in your pantry.
No, I'm doing that now.
But that's the idea. Immediately after Purim, it doesn't make any sense before Purim because you have the Hamantashen and all that. Right?
You've been reading my mind. I've already been looking at recipes and.
But
and
no,
counting
but
out how many
the thing
plates
is,
I'm gonna need.
other than the fresh things that you need every day, you should go to your pantry and say, oh, I have, 4 packages of pasta, and I have this package of rice, and
Use up what you have. Yeah.
so what you do is you start eating whatever you have. Okay? And I guess it is part of the cleaning process. Because you have to realize that, and we are going to see it hopefully this class. I'm pretty sure there are things that they are going to stay until the next one. But everything that you do not eat before Pesach, all the chametz that you don't eat that you have, then you have three options:
Give it away.
give it
sell
away, or burn
Put
it,
it outside and burn it.
or let's say burn it, eliminate it. Let's put it that way: eliminate it, right?
Does the
Sell
freezer-
it or give it
does
away.
the freezer count?
No. Well, if you said we are going to see, it could count, but you have to sell it. I'm going to explain and demystify the selling of the chametz. Okay?
I usually just sell them.
You don't sell yours. You sell it through me.
Well, that's right.
People should never sell it directly. It should be sold through a synagogue because there are lots of. You are not really selling your chametz. You are leasing the space where the chametz is stored with the chametz inside.
Yeah.
So it's a lease arrangement.
That's right.
And the money that you get from the non-Jew that is buying it is a down payment for all the chametz, basically, because what you said is, I don't know how much chametz I have. So give me, let's say, $20, right?
Yep.
And after Pesach, you give me the rest. And then after Pesach, you get together again, and then a Jew will say, you know what, I changed my mind. Okay, so the contract is null and void.
You going to do that again this year?
Yep.
On the Bina?
Yeah.
I have a question for you about the selling of chametz. It's, in Israel, it's usually there's a non-Jewish person. I believe he used to be a Arab. I don't know if it still
Yep.
is. And all of the chametz in Israel was sold to this person for the duration of Pesach, which was gajillion shekels.
Okay,
What are they going to do this year after October 7th?
I don't know. Let's see who's going to buy this year.
Scary thought.
Well, okay. Oh, Randy's here. Welcome, Randy.
Don't even talk to me. Don't even talk.
Okay, let's start. Let's start with Pesach. Okay, when is celebrated Pesach? 15th of Nisan. Nisan, remember, according to the Bible, this is the first month. According to the rabbinic calendar, it's the 7th month. We have basically two calendars. So, this year is the evening of Monday, 22nd of April. So that's the first Seder, right? And then the Tuesday, if you are outside Israel, second Seder. If you're in Israel, remember, only one Seder. Well, if you are living in Israel, if you're visiting, you still have to do a second Seder, and you still have the extra day at the end of Pesach. Same is for an Israeli visit in Winnipeg, for example. They have only 7 days of Pesach, not 8. And they have only one Seder because they're visiting.
It's interesting, and for years, people used to argue. And I'd say, but we always
Okay.
had 3 Seders. And it was years before I was old enough or smart enough to think about why we had 3 Seders in my Baba and Zeta's house. The room was small, the table could only open so much and hold so many people, and there were so many family members who didn't have a place to go and needed to have a Seder.
Let me tell
So
you.
we had a 3rd Seder.
Well, the third Seder, actually, I will tell you the real story of the third Seder. Because at the end of Pesach, if you live in Winnipeg, for example, you also have 2 days of holiday,
Yes.
of festival.
Yes.
When you have a festival, you also have special, the table for the last 2 days of Pesach shouldn't be any different from the first 2 Seders, except that you don't have what's called the keara, the special Seder plate,
Waitress and all the
right?
other
But
stuff.
everything else, so you don't have the 4 cups.
No,
You don't have the
no,
4
no,
cups.
not basic.
No, again, for the end, you don't have the
Yes,
4
yes.
cups.
Yes.
You don't have the Haggadah.
Yeah.
You don't have the plate.
egg and
But everything
the
else
and
is
stuff.
the same.
Right.
So some people will actually do like an informal Seder because it's totally up to you what you do. Nothing is written. So that's the story of the third Seder. So people have to get together anyway, and they repeat part of the Seder on the third, but it's always, it's great because you can do whatever you want.
And it's another way of getting rid of all that food.
Yeah. All those pounds and pounds of
pounds and pounds
of
and
brisket.
pounds
of brisket.
of brisket.
Last year, it's the first time that I order like a brisket here from the kitchen, and I didn't know how much to order. Is a kilo a lot? I don't know.
2.2 pounds.
Whatever. Means babkas to me. So I can't remember how much I ordered, but when I went to pick it up,
Did you get up? You could get up.
my
from
first
picking it up.
my first reaction was, holy cow, how am I gonna eat? Because this is what happened. My wife is a vegetarian.
That's right.
My son, he's like a bird, right? So he had
I'm not
a little bit.
I'm not a vulture, but a bird.
And then we have like the whole week, and I had to put it in small containers, freeze it, and then I had brisket for a
Brisket
month
tastes
after
beautiful.
Pesach.
In fact, it tastes better after.
So you can have an idea how much I order. This year I think I ordered better.
So you either order a kosher brisket or another down.
No. And last year I ordered from here and a little bit from Chabad too. I wanted to try it. Chef Joel beat it.
Totally different kinds of
Yeah.
kitchen. Yeah.
Chabad was too garlicky. Okay, so let's go into Pesach. First thing you have to know is, as I always say when I'm teaching this in Choosing Judaism, right? This is my favorite question when I introduce a holiday or an observance to my Choosing Judaism class is it biblical or rabbinical,
Right.
right? So for them to start thinking and start, making a catalog on their head, biblical, rabbinical. So Pesach is biblical,
It is. For sure.
but most of the observances that we have are rabbinical. That's what it is. Why do we have 4 cups of wine? Rabbinical. Why do we have a Haggadah? Rabbinical. Right? Why do we have matzah? Biblical. But you need to split your head with one on one side, one on the other. Right? Why do we narrate the story of the Exodus? Biblical. Vehigadita. That's why it's called Haggadah, because the word Vehigadita, you should tell. What else? Why do we recline on the Seder?
Why do we climb this way instead
Rabbinical.
of this way? It's rabbinic.
Okay.
It's a different angle of reclining.
Yeah. There are other things rabbinical, but they are more in the side of tradition. Why do Ashkenazi Jews don't have lamb for the Seder? Have you noticed that we have chicken,
Yeah.
but we don't have lamb?
Yeah. I always wondered why, because I always thought that having lamb at Pesach would be fantastic.
Because lamb was the sacrifice for Pesach in the temple. We don't have a temple anymore, so we don't need lamb.
So is that? But what about Sfardim?
They do.
They do. That's
In
right.
remembrance.
Sfardim are so lucky.
In remembrance. The Ashkenazi, they considered that it was disrespectful to have a lamb outside of the context of the Paschal lamb.
It's not fair to Sfardim. Get all the good stuff. There are-
That only for Pesach.
There are households.
Only for Pesach we are Ashkenazi, yeah. We are Ashkenazi the rest of the year, but we eat rice during Pesach. Anyway. Okay, so what is, I said Pesach is biblical. Let me read it. It's in Exodus, chapter 12. Okay, I will read the beginning. It says, Adonai spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt and said, you are to begin your calendar with this month, which is the month of Nisan. And I don't know if you realize, guys, that the first mitzvah given to the Jewish people as a nation was, this is the first month. Even before all the laws of Pesach, the first mitzvah was the calendar. Because if I tell you this is the first month, you need to have a calendar to make sense of months.
What about Shabbat? Wouldn't that come from?
No, but the first mitzvah as a nation,
Oh,
and we consider that the people of Israel became a nation when they left Egypt. Up to that point, they were tribes. That they were a nation under the leadership of Moses. They never had a leader before to become an independent body. They never. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, month. It will be the first month of the year for you. Speak to all the assembly of Israel and say, on the 10th day of this month, of Nisan, 10th of Nisan, welcome David. We saved a chair for you. Okay, I'm talking about Pesach. Don't interrupt. You are not. Okay. Yes, you are. As Rabbi Hillel used to say, if I'm here, everyone is here. And then he said, if I'm not here, no one is here. And everybody said, wasn't Hillel supposed to be super humble? And then we realized he was talking about God. If I'm here, everyone is here. If I'm not here, no one is here.
Supposed to read the fine print.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. So on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb for his family, one per household. Okay? So this is basically 5 days before.
Yeah.
Except that if the household is too small for a whole lamb, then he and his next door neighbor should share one, dividing it in proportion to the number of people eating it. Here is the origin of the tradition of inviting people over for the Seder. Sharing the lamb. It's commanded here, right? Let's continue.
So they're eating lamb and we're still not eating lamb?
Well, but that was a different situation. They would have to sacrifice it, and thing. We don't sacrifice anymore. Oh, look.
Got hung up on that meal.
If you marry a Sephardic, as a woman, you have to follow another tradition of your husband.
Do I have to? He has to follow me? We're not going to go there, Rabbi.
What can I
We're
do?
not going to go there, Rabbi.
What can I do with these reformed people?
I'd rather follow a Sephardic menu.
They would slaughter the lamb at the home.
Yes,
But when the Mishkan comes,
rules changed. Yes. In fact,
it was at the home.
when the Mishkan was built, you couldn't slaughter anymore except for the Mishkan. And eventually that was changed, that people were allowed to slaughter for the sake of eating. Before, basically, you have to slaughter there because it was almost like a tax of every animal slaughter had to go to the priests. Okay, let's continue. Your animal must be without defect, a male in its first year, and you should choose it from either the sheep or the goats. Okay? You are to keep it until the 14th day of the month. So then here is a question. Why those 4 days that you have to have an animal? It was like tied to your house, but at the whole view of everybody. One explanation is it was an act of faith.
You would be nice to the animal.
No, because it was a sacred animal for the Egyptians, considered a god, right? So do you still think that
So you kept it in the backyard until it was time to have it slaughtered?
at a full view of the Egyptian? It's a test of faith to the Israelites to see if they were.
That's like, I don't know how to translate it into English, but in Yiddish you'd say farfletzing and yet in Poland, which would be basically almost slapping someone in the face,
Yes.
throwing dirt in their face.
Pretty much. Okay. So they are to take some. So basically, until the 14th of the day, and then the entire assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter it at dusk. And they are to take some of the blood and smear it on the two sides on top of the door frame at the entrance of the house in which they eat it.
Yeah.
Okay? We don't do this anymore. That night, they are to eat the meat roasted in the fire. Okay, that's one of the questions of. It used to be one of the questions, one of the 4 questions on Passover. The, the the roasting of the lamb. Then when we stopped having lamb, the question was removed.
Question.
And it was replaced for the reclining one. The reclining one was not part of the original 4 questions, if you go to the Mishnah. Because it said that night they are to eat the meat roasted in fire, and they are to eat it with matzah and maror. So basically the original question was, on all other nights we eat lamb, either roasted or boiled. On this night, only roasted. And that question disappeared, was replaced by reclining. Now, because it said, don't eat it raw or boiled, but roasted in the fire with its head and the lower parts of its leg and its inner organs. Let nothing of it remain till morning. If any of it remains, burn it up completely. Okay?
There would be a lot of people pressing to make sure that they weren't wasting anything.
I don't know, probably smelled pretty good, the neighborhood that
I
night.
would think so.
I learned something interesting, believe it or not, is that the seniors program at the Civic Center, I learned all about Easter.
About what? Sorry?
I learned all about Easter at the Civic Center, the seniors
Oh.
program. And the question was, and the trivia thing was, why ham? And they said, since the original Easter was celebrated with lamb, to recognize the Last Supper was the Passover Seder.
Yeah.
They got switched to ham because all the ham that was cured over the winter was ready in the spring. The lamb
Okay.
wasn't readily available. But they also, Easter was originally the lamb as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Excellent.
If you look at some of the old drawings and paintings, yeah, you're right. So I have a question for you about the fear cautious, the 4 questions. There's the whole conversation for the last, I don't know how many decades, maybe before, about the 5th question.
Yes.
So what is it and why?
I don't know. Sorry, hold on. Somebody is calling me and I didn't put the focus here. I had to put my thing on do not disturb. Okay. The 5th question is talking about the deliverance. So it's talking about the messianic times. That's what we don't ask it now.
Okay.
The same with the 5th cup.
It's
we
sitting
don't
in
touch
the
it.
middle
It's
of the
sitting, but we
table,
don't
yeah.
touch it. Right?
I swear as a kid I
The
saw
question
it.
is floating around, but we don't say it. Okay, let's continue with the description of Pesach. Next verse. Here is how you are to eat it, the lamb. With your belt fastened, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Shoes in your feet.
Okay, Rabbi, I'll put the back on.
This is the Savior, something.
Yeah, Shelley has the nickname the barefoot governor.
That's right.
What about the barefoot to
Oh, well,
No,
that's another
she's called the barefoot governor.
Always davened with well, now that I wear
Okay,
compression stuff.
let's
Always
continue. Let's
wear
continue.
protections.
And you are to eat it hurriedly. Okay, it's Adonai's Pesach. For that night it will pass through the land of Egypt, and for that night I will pass through the land of Egypt and kill all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both men and animals, and I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt. I am Adonai. The blood will serve you as a sign, marking the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I will pass over you.
Hello.
That's why it's called Passover.
Ding, ding, ding.
When I strike the land of Egypt, the death blow will not strike you. This will be the day for you to remember and celebrate as a festival to Adonai from generation to generation. What does it mean, this, from generation to generation? It means it's not a one-shot thing. That there were many other things that it was like a one-time thing. Like, for example, painting the doors and thing is just for that generation. But the eating the lamb is from generation to generation. You are to celebrate it by a perpetual regulation. It means even when you enter to the land of Israel or when you're not there, you still have to celebrate Passover.
I got a question.
Yes, Jerome, what's your question?
Earlier on, you said in your statement, it said, "I will pass judgment on the gods of Egypt."
Yes.
That acknowledges that the gods of Egypt existed.
Yeah, no, it acknowledged that they believe in something that they call God. I said, I'm going to show them how it's nothing.
Hashem is basically saying there are no sacred cows, and I will pass judgment upon them too.
Sacred goats.
So about doors, painting doors.
Yes.
So, like, blood on the door, I understand. We do the mezuzah on the door.
Yes.
And at Hanukkah, you don't see it here where it's so
Yeah, we
bloody
put the
cold.
Hanukkah by the door.
But certainly in Israel, you see people sitting on their front steps and on their gates. There's a Hanukkah on Hanukkah. Why doors? What is
It's the entrance.
That's it?
The entrance.
Okay.
Yeah. The entrance of the
I
house.
was looking for something deeper.
No.
Silly me.
Let's continue. Now, this is one mitzvah. Okay? And you see that it said there even that you have to eat it with matzah and maror,
Yeah.
right? So then eventually the
Freeze on.
the Torah expands a little bit on that. And it will say, matzah is to be eaten throughout the 7 days. Neither chametz nor leavening agents are to be seen with you throughout your territories. Okay? So the fact that it said not to be seen, that is also not another reason why when we sell the chametz, we put it only one place, we lock the door, and it's not even visible in our house. Even though it's there, it's not even visible. Okay? Now, the other thing you have to remember, and this is one of the biggest confusion of the year, that there are two different holidays overlapping. One is called Chag HaPesach, Festival of Pesach, and that is the eating of the lamb on the table, right? Remember with the belt fastened and the shoot. That is Pesach. The day after, Pesach is over. So Pesach is one night. Chag HaPesach is one night. The rest of the week is called Chag HaMatzot, the festival of the matzah. In this day and age, Chag HaPesach, Chag HaMatzot, they are synonyms. We are going to see there are other names that the rabbis put it. But back in the day, there were two separate things, independent from each other. Okay?
Well, they still are. It's just that we smush them together, don't we? When we greet people.
No, the confusion is because the mitzvah of the Pesach, it says you have to eat it with matzah and maror. Okay? But then the day after, so 7 days you have to eat matzah and not have any chametz. So we extended to the night of Passover as well, because you have to get everything ready. You can't do everything in between holidays, so you have to get it ready before Pesach starts. So that's why we clean up and sell the chametz and everything before Chag HaPesach starts, when in reality we are doing in preparation for Chag HaMatzot.
Yes.
And then there is a little bit of a controversy there. Is it a mitzvah to eat matzah for doing the Chag HaMatzot? Or is enough with not having chametz? And the truth is, it is a mitzvah to eat matzah during the Seder, but during Chag HaMatzot you don't have to eat the matzah. The mitzvah is not having chametz. Okay?
That's where all the crazy recipes come from afterwards.
Okay, let's continue.
Lots of matzah.
So the other reference to chametz that the Torah makes is during those 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. So not just not to be seen, not to be found. Whoever eats food with chametz is to be cut off
Forever.
from the community of Israel. It doesn't matter whether he is a foreigner or a citizen of the land. What does it mean, cut off?
Ostracized. Ostracized.
No. in this context, it's coming from the Hebrew word karet.
Oh, correct, that's torn away.
But karet means spiritual separation. So basically means if you eat chametz,
So you're shut.
God is cutting. It's like it's not looking at you
You're shut. But only for the period of Pesach or forever.
forever. But
No, forever? Really? Forever?
well, you have to do teshuva. This is one of the reasons why we do teshuva, to repent for stuff like this, right? But it's nothing that the community will do to you. It's between you and God, the karet.
Or whoever was
It's
involved.
between
Yeah.
you and God.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The community will distance himself.
Yeah, but technically, the karet, it's been misunderstood.
This whole misunderstanding.
No, but it's been misunderstood, and that's why sometimes we have the concept of shunning somebody. But it's coming from the bad translation of the concept of karet. The karet.
We have a lot of these very strict punishments of them. The rabbis make it so it's almost impossible to oppose them.
Yeah, well, but there were one was karet, that it was between you and God, right? And the other one was actually the stoning. That it was more serious because there is no way to repent from that. Once they kill you, they kill you.
I mean, I was taught that Spinoza was really the first person in Judaism to ever really be excommunicated.
The what? Sorry,
And Spinoza was
Spinoza.
was the first person
No,
to
no, no.
actually be publicly
There were more public.
That is different.
That's like
That is
nailing
different.
onto the church.
Yeah,
the version of nailing on the church door.
Excommunication is a different thing, and it was always there, but it's a rabbinic thing. It's yeah, that is a rabbinic thing, excommunication. Let's continue. So remember, I mentioned that there is a confusion: Chag Pesach, Chag Matzot.
Yes.
We have different names for the festival. So we have Chag Pesach, okay, which means Feast of the Paschal Lamb. It has nothing to do with the angel of death passing over. That's the English name, Passover. Passover is not a translation of Pesach. Pesach makes a reference to the lamb they ate. Okay? I think in French they call
The
it.
lamb they ate, but not paschal lamb.
So I said Pasc. It's the same. In Spanish, it's Pascua. It's the
Yes.
same thing. It does not make reference to the
lamb
Passover.
Pascua.
I don't know. It is mentioned in the same verse, but there are two different things. So in English, we call it Passover. So Chag Pesach, Feast of the Paschal Lamb, it refers to the lamb or goat, which was designated as the Passover sacrifice, Korban Pesach. It also means he passed over, right? But that's the second thing, in reference to God passing over the houses of the Hebrews during the final of 10 plagues in Egypt. Okay? Second name, Chag Matzot, Feast of the Unleavened Bread, because of people who left Egypt with such haste. There was no time to allow baked bread to rise.
Right.
But it's not only that, because then you go to the Haggadah, and then you realize that the reason the Haggadah gives for the matzah is different. It says, "Alachma aniya diachalua vatana," which means
The bread that our ancestors ate
in Egypt.
in Egypt. Yeah.
So I said, "Well, hold on a minute. They didn't eat it in Egypt. They ate it when they left Egypt, right?" But then we came to discover.
No, but I remember it's fine.
No. Then we came to discover that the matzah was the type of bread that the slave would eat. They wouldn't have like a fancy bread with yeast. So they always ate matzah.
For you.
They always ate matzah. So all of a sudden, the symbol of their slavery became their symbol of their freedom, which is not uncommon. If you think, for example, in Christianity, the symbol of the cross,
Yeah.
right? From something negative became something positive, which is, it's not unheard
No, it's
that
not.
something
But we don't
negative
think about it.
became something positive. So, and it's something that happens to all, and we don't realize how often we go through things like that, right? And
It's because we don't take
Like,
the time to take it apart.
I was talking to somebody once that he was complaining about living with his parents and such a tiny confined space. And he said, I remember the day that I left home and I went to live in a place that it was even smaller, but I was free. Right? All of a sudden it felt ginormous, but
Well,
I said,
that's
physically
right.
it was smaller.
Yeah, I get it.
So this is the same thing.
Absolutely.
So then you realize that it's not about the bread. It's your state of mind when you eat that bread. So that's what I think it was important to eat the same kind of bread with a different state of mind. So this is the idea behind Chag HaMatzot. Okay? Now, third name, Zman Cheruteinu.
Say that again.
Zman
Zman. Okay.
Cheruteinu, Cherut, which means freedom. So the time of our freedom. This implies not only past freedom from current, but current freedom as well. This is when we have an opportunity to reflect about different kind of type of slavery still going around, or oppression around the world. That's why the name Zman Cheruteinu is necessary. Okay? Yes.
Related to Pesach, the whole concept of slaves building the pyramids. Now that we found archaeological remains showing that the people who built the pyramids were actually buried with honor. Next to
Some of them, not all of them. Only
Yes.
Some of them.
Some of the builders of the so what's the question?
So
It was the
how does that
engineers and the architects.
how do we reconcile that with the building as the slaves building
We
and
did,
people being honored for building?
because we Jews weren't in the honored class. Those were the professional class that
Yeah,
designed.
not the
those were
slaves building it.
Here, we're talking to
Yeah.
anthropologists, archaeologists, ethnographer. So those were the intelligentsia of the workforce. They were the
And
engineers and the
so,
astronomers. And
guys,
the
we have one more name for Pesach.
It's got to face this way.
That is Chag
We
HaAviv.
got crushed between the stones. Nobody was doing.
Pesach is Chag HaAviv, which means Festival of the Spring. Now, although it's not clear what HaAviv actually means in that context, it means the how you call it? It's a summer solstice.
Yeah. The winter solstice and the summer solstice.
Yeah.
And then
Or
there's,
the-
well, or are you thinking the
Vernal
equinox?
equinox.
The
Equinox. Sorry.
equinox.
But it seems that the Chag HaAviv makes a reference to the equinox.
Last week.
Yeah. So that might be what because when he said festival of the Aviv implies that Aviv is a phenomenon,
It is.
right? It's just about the grammar of the thing.
Well, since
In
they-
this day, modern Hebrew, Aviv means spring.
Yes.
Okay.
They're almost at the same time.
Yeah, but
They're
just
almost
saying.
At the same time.
Just saying.
I
So
mean, you know,
that's why I said the most common translation of Chag Aviv is the spring festival, because they left Egypt during the spring season. Okay.
certainly when you're in Israel, you're not that far from the equator, so the sun isn't going to do a heck of a lot
So yeah. Okay.
compared to my friends.
So let's continue.
We're still waiting for it, you know.
Now we are I mentioned at the beginning ways of getting rid of the chametz if you are not able to eat everything between now and Pesach. What do? Oh, I wish it would be that easy, right? You have three things and you have to fulfill the three of them. Of course, you can give it away, whatever you want, but rabbinically speaking, there are three steps that you have to fulfill before Pesach. And that is written at the beginning of every decent Haggadah. You have all the explanation there. Number one, you have to do bitul chametz. Bitul, which means nullification of ownership. And that is a declaration. Then it's mehirat chametz. That means that you have to sell. You have to sell the chametz. Okay? And the third is Bedikat Hametz, which is the searching and destroying
Going through the house with a,
by
with a
burning,
feather.
by burning of the Hametz. So regardless of what you do, if you donate, you eat, or you made or you sell it to somebody for money, like it's yours, you have to go through the 3 steps before Pesach.
Start using a feather, and some people save for lulav for Sukkot, you use it for the Bedikat Hametz
Yes,
to bridge the holidays.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
let me tell you something,
Makes sense.
and that I was asked before. I said, well, if I got rid of all my Hametz, do I still have to sell it through a synagogue during Pesach? Yes, because you're also selling the Hametz that is attached to utensils. And they say, well, can't I just sell the utensil? Let's say you use
The loaf pan that
okay,
you
the
use.
fry pan that you do their French toast, right? Even if you wash it, it's considered that particles of chametz are attached to that fry pan, okay? And then you don't sell the fry pan. When you sell is the chametz inside. They say, why don't you sell the fry pan? What's the problem with selling the fry pan? Nope. Problem is, you sell it to a non-Jew. When you buy it back, you're buying a
have to kosher it
utensil.
again.
You have to kosher. You have to take it to the mikvah. It's not a koshering. It's a different kind of thing. It's koshering by water.
Yes.
That you even do it with new things.
Yes.
So if you buy new fry pans or pots,
Yeah.
you have to take it to the mikvah to do the atal. It's called mikvat keilim.
My mom used to always, at Passover, take all the dishes downstairs and bring new dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you do. So, but again, that's why if anybody asks you, that's why even if you think you have no chametz at home, you do, and then you have to fill up a form of selling of the chametz through a synagogue to fully fulfill with all the 3 steps before. The other 2, the bitul chametz is oral. You say it at home. It's in the Haggadah. And the Bedikat Hametz, you do it in the morning before Pesach. You just go outside your house and you burn the leftovers of breakfast with all the Hametz that you found the night before. Okay?
350, selling the chametz. Would you please make a note to the office to send the forms out more than 2 days before the deadline?
No. I had to do it. Actually, you know what? I will do it before I go on. By the way, next week there is no class. I'm taking a week off.
And this is my last Thursday coming here.
Haven't seen you for a few Thursdays anyway.
Okay, let's continue.
I come here
Come on, guys.
So is this a symbolic selling?
No, it's legally binding.
So is there actually exchange of money?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I do it. Okay. Let me. It is symbolic, but it's not. It's a 4-page document. I do it every year with whoever is whoever is the head pastor of Bridges for Peace. Okay.
Many synagogues arrangement with the church to sell
I used to do it with I used to do it with Peter Fast, and now I'm doing it with Gary Sergienko. Okay, he comes to Temple Shalom or Shaare Zedek before, and we go live. So because you need witnesses, I still have 2 witnesses in person, and then I go through the contract. That it's and I say it will give me the down payments and things and establish after Pesach we're meeting together, and then you're gonna give me the rest of the money. Because I get all this letter from my congregants. I don't know how much chametz I'm selling. I said after the fact, if you're still interested, then we're going to do all the assessment, and we are going to measure and weight all the chametz, and then you're going to give me the rest of the money. So, but if he says at the end, I want it, it's legally binding.
I can't remember what.
Because it's done in front of witnesses, and then on top of that, we also, not only we sign, and not only there is an exchange of money, we do also 3 other methods that the rabbis say that they are legally binding in rabbinic law. Number 1, you have to say it. You said, yes, I want to do it. Number 2, we have to exchange objects. So let's say you give me your, a handkerchief that belongs to you. I'm giving you a handkerchief that belongs to me. And by doing that, we are accepting the terms. And finally, we shake hands, because that's also a method where people agree, and everything in front of witnesses. So we signed the document, right? There was money. Everybody sent it to me, and I would show up. I will show up. Yeah, and I physically have all the forms with me. When we do that, I put it in an envelope. I seal the envelope. I said, this is yours. You keep it.
The first year you did it, you actually had a notary.
Sorry?
The first year you did it, a broadcast for us to see, you had a notary.
Yeah, that was a nice touch, but it's not necessary. I had it notarized. And then I remember I had Alan Cantor, who's a lawyer, he actually wrote me a letter that it was the release at the end with all this legal thing that is not halachic, but he said that will make me happy as a lawyer to make it completely legal. And then the person said, me, Peter Fass, completely released the Hametz and blah, 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 and we signed. Okay? And it was funny because he was talking about inheritance and think, oh God. And we did it anyway. We did it just to make it happen.
You can't have the cheese.
What would you do?
If what, sorry?
If you had no Gentiles, how would you?
Oh, you can always get a Gentile.
You can always find a non-believer.
No, here.
The smaller communities, the smaller congregations, they forward the stuff to New York.
They do.
Yeah, no, but
There's always an emissary
Mark,
from New York. Just
there
find
is-
the roving Chabad rabbi.
But guys, sorry, there is
Seriously.
the person who buys the Hametz makes a profit at the end, because when I want all the papers back, and I kind of buy it from you, so there is a profit for. So basically, the way we do it is based on everybody. When people send the form for us, they make a donation. We give that money, and then we write a check to Bridges for Peace at the end. Okay. So let's start with Mechir. I mentioned 3 steps. So I want at least today to cover these 3 steps before we move on to the next topic. Number 1, Mechirat Hametz. Okay? And I mention this because this is usually performed first, the selling of the Hametz. A Jew who has his own Hametz in possession on Pesach transgresses each and every moment of Pesach on the prohibition of it shall not be seen and it shall not be found. So this is a very bad transgression because every second you are transgressing it. It's not one sin. It's like multiple sins that happening every second of Pesach. Every time that you have that Hametz with you. Okay?
He survived.
And then you are prohibited from benefiting from such Hametz forever. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you forgot, or you didn't do the selling of the Hametz, right? But you had some fine scotch at home. And they said, but that's okay. Now that Pesach is over, I can have it. Nope. Hametz that it was not sold during Pesach, you cannot drink it anymore.
I want to sell all my credits, but I don't want to sell
And
my
that is,
Scotch rabbi.
and this is the problem, and it used to be a problem from buying beer or scotch from a Jewish distillery. If they don't sell the Hametz during Pesach, then everything they produce is not kosher.
I wonder what Seagram's used to do years ago. What did Seagram's used to do? What did the Bronfmans do?
Bronfman was a problem.
It was a huge problem.
It was a problem
And
with
that was even
Bronfman.
before Pearl.
And it was not recommended for Jews to buy it because of that. Now, then you have many others that they really think that yes, it belongs to Mr. Goldstein, but then you realize that it's a society, right? It's a partnership. It's not just him. So because the ownership gets diluted among other people, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, so you can sold up the stock exchange.
Yeah, but
But
the,
often
the problem is when the Jew is the sole owner. Okay, so let's continue. Therefore, one who owns large amounts of chametz that he is unable to destroy might sell it to a non-Jew before Pesach. This chametz may be eaten by a Jew after Pesach, if you sold it. After Pesach, the Jew should request from the non-Jew that he should sell him back the chametz for such and such an amount of money. Even though you don't have to do it, because basically says that you give me a down payment. If at the end of Pesach you don't give me the rest of the money, it's null and void. But just because there is, in rabbinic terms, we call there is a sheila, there is a question, if it's still binding, then you do a resale, a repurchase, just in case.
Now, what do you do in a situation where you are the only person in the household that observes Pesach? I could sell what's in my room of the house,
What is in your possession? What is yours?
but the rest of the stuff in the house belongs to
It's
my.
not yours. And
It's not yours. You cannot sell something that is not yours.
Right, but what do I do after
It's the
Pesach?
non-Pesach version
Then
of trade.
I eat the rest of the food that's in the house after Pesach, but that wasn't sold.
That's okay. So if it's not yours, it's not a problem. Same thing that,
You didn't buy it, you didn't pay for it, it doesn't belong to you.
yeah. Next step, unless the other people are Jews, that's become a problem.
Yeah, well, that's what I live with my non-Jewish
That's his
family.
problem.
That become a problem.
That's
Yeah.
his problem.
If I said all belongs to my son-in-law, who's not Jewish.
Okay, let's continue. Next step is searching of the chametz. This is done preferably beginning with dusk on the evening of the 14th of the Hebrew month of Nisan, which is the evening before the first Seder. Those years in which the first Seder fall on a Saturday night, the bedikah, the searching, must be conducted Thursday night. One should make the search by candlelight or a flashlight. In fact, flashlight is preferable for safety. And search his home for every piece of chametz he can find. Before one begins the search, he recites the blessing. Blessed are you, God, our Lord, King of the universe, who sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us concerning the destruction of the chametz. Upon completion of the search, the next step is the bitul, nullification of ownership. There is a formula called Kol Hamira, which is recited all chametz or leavening, which is in my possession, which I have not seen or I have not removed, or whose existence I didn't know about, I am making it null and void. In here it says hefker, which is ownerless, hefker, at the dust, like the dust of the earth. Hefker is a very common word in Jewish law, ownerless. For example, if you find a $20 bill on the street, do you have to return it to the owner? No, because there is no way to identify it. So that is automatically hefker.
Does that make it community property?
Money is hefker as soon as you lost it, unless that is a very specific amount. If you lost, $18.25 and 3 pennies, and somebody said, "Hey, I found money." Did you find? And you said the amount. In that case, but if it's like a $20 bill or a toonie, it's yours automatically. Hefker. So
Also made it to creative when $5 bill is found in the lobby, the owner, please form a line outside
That's
the
right, and
manager's
everybody
office.
stands.
okay, let's continue. And one more, and the last step is the burning of the chametz that happens the next morning. The following morning, the chametz found on the previous night, plus the leftover from the breakfast, must be burned. Okay?
Ladies are leaving. This is the next
The
house.
nullification is again pronounced with the addition of all my chametz that I do know about. Not just the one that I don't know about, but the ones that I do know about. Following or don't know about in the above formula. So basically the nullification by saying it happens in the night and in the morning. Twice. And then you have the burning, and then the selling should be the first thing you do. Okay.
So nowhere in there it says you have to use a feather?
A what? Sorry.
A feather?
No, that is. That's what we do it. And then next class we're going to.
You could use it after.
Next class we're going to start with kashering of the kitchen, which is the. You will see kashering of the kitchen is the other thing that you need to understand the different methods. Okay, there are different methods to kasher your kitchen. The general rule is you use the method that is usually used to cook. For example, if you use the pot that you use to boil eggs, what do you use to kosher it? Boiling water, right?
But theoretically, if you have a dishwasher, you just put everything in the dishwasher. And
No.
you do it a couple times.
No, not for
No,
that.
No.
Not for that. For that, you have to pour boiling water.
Just boil it.
Things that they go, other things like the element of your range. How do you kosher it? By fire. Okay. So in this case, if it's electric, you turn it on, you leave it 5 minutes or so, at max temperature, and then it's considered kosher. If it's the old school gas, you need a blowtorch,
Remember,
and then you go with the blowtorch until it's red.
Then what's with the tinfoil on the counters?
that's-
Well, that
that's
is
for Shabbat.
basically
That's for Shabbat.
no. What happened
Keep
is
it clean.
if you have a granite countertop, it's not kosherable. It's not. I don't know if it's such a word, but I'm gonna say it. It's not kosherable. You cannot be made kosher anymore, okay? Because the stone absorbs. So then you have to put the tinfoil to cover it, and then after you wash it the best you can, but then you have to cover it.
So what about the man-made plastic stuff that's made to look like stone? You have to cover that with a leather too?
But it depends because there are some.
Well, some of
There is a.
made by DuPont. You know?
Quartz and there's quartzite.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Next week there is no class. Okay, next week there is no class, and this class is going to be rebroadcasted tonight at what time? 8 o'clock Central Time. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe, and see you again in 2 weeks. Look, if I do this, let's see if. There you go, with the balloons. And if I do 2, let's see if it registered.
Rabbits.
And if you do this, very nice. Thank you, guys. Bye.